Are you looking to reduce the crafty budget by maybe eliminating some purchases that you don't need to be making? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's take a look. Today I want to share 5 supplies that I no longer buy and why I don't buy them anymore. And spoiler alert, it's not because the products are bad. It's just learning my personal style and realizing when enough is enough. So the first one is sequins. Sequins are beautiful. I have some sequins left in my stash, obviously, since I've been here, and they're great for shaker cards, they're great for embellishments, but honestly, they're not really my style. They don't work with cards. That oftentimes when you are donating your cards to organizations, they don't prefer sequins or other small embellishments. I like to donate a lot of my cards. Go to jesscrafts.com and you will find a card drive resources page where it will tell you different places you can donate your cards, and you can print jokes to put inside your cards. However, I find that I get sequins without even meaning to. And what I mean is they come in kits or they come as a little thank you for your order. And so even if I don't buy any new sequins, I probably have enough sequins already in my stash or will come from random sources that I could make a shaker card if and when I wanted to. But by all means, if you love to embellish with sequins, go ahead and keep buying them. If I had to give you 2 places to buy sequins from too, I'd check out TwiddlersNook on Etsy or Cat Scrappiness, because they both have a lot of great sequin mixes. Next up, something I don't buy anymore is inks. And that's not because I don't have inks. I actually have all of the Lawn Fawn mini ink cubes, and the reason that I don't buy inks anymore is I've decided to just commit to the Lawn Fawn inks. And I know that's not for everyone, but I'm limited in my inky techniques. I really prefer pattern paper, so I think I just need one solid collection of inks, and I prefer mini inks. So I picked the Lawn Fawn because I had a good amount of them, and I decided to eliminate the rest from my collection and kind of just learn to be happy with these ones instead of always wondering if this new ink formula is somehow superior and collecting a bunch of little inks. Caveat. I also have distress inks and distress oxide inks because they have different properties. A lot of things you can do with distress inks you can also do with any dye inks, but in terms of just having like a good solid range of colored ink, I just picked one and went with it to avoid that temptation of the next new ink, the next new color, etc., and just go with my collection. Mini inks are super efficient to store too, so that's why I recommend them, especially if you don't do a lot of large stamping. So like I don't do a ton of background stamping, which maybe a bigger stamp pad would be perfect for. But these ones, I can get a lot of colors in a small space. You get 12 in one of these tins. These are the Tim Holtz distress ink tins. I took the top off and I have these stored in my long Alex drawers, and it's really efficient for space. The next one's kind of a 2-for-1. It's heavy embellishments and dimensional embellishments. I avoid anything with too much dimension because it can get caught. When you donate your cards, you often like put a lot of cards together in a package, and so they can kind of get caught on each other. So you might wind up accidentally ruining some of your other cards or that card because it gets pulled off, and then when it gets to the organization, maybe they have to try to repair it, which takes more time. And so I like to keep things relatively low dimension for that reason. Also, even if you don't donate your cards, dimensional cards are more expensive to mail. And if that is your thing, please, by all means, I think there are beautiful dimensional cards out there. I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I'm just trying to point out, like, this is what I've noticed about myself. So I have some of the action wobbles, and these add a lot of dimension. So if I'm making a very specific card for somebody and I kind of know who it's going to, I'm hand delivering it, I'm gonna keep things like that in my collection for those rare instances, but I'm gonna buy 1 pack of action wobbles and it's gonna last me years and years and years because I'm only gonna occasionally use them on a card. Or big thick wiggle eyes. They can be super fun. These are actually, though, particularly these ones, are an example of something that has the look of a lot of dimension without actually adding too much bulk to a card. So these are from the Dollar Tree, and the ears flap up. I've also had some from Spellbinders where like butterfly wings flap up, but they stay really flat in your envelope, and they can be pressed flat, so they're less likely to cause trouble or extra expense in mailing. These are from Recollections. They also, the front of them, even though it looks more dimensional, is actually really flat, and so less likely to get caught in anything, and they're not too terribly thick. They shouldn't cause too much trouble. I also avoid foam tape for the same reason, because foam tape tends to be thicker. And so instead of using foam tape, and I've mentioned this in a video before, or in a bunch of videos before, I just take 2 pieces of cardstock and I glue them together. And that creates just a little bit of dimension without having to add the extra bulk of foam tape. Just that tiny bit to lift it off the card. So you can also, if you're doing it with a die cut, you can just die cut extras and glue them together. Or that's a great way to use your scrap cardstock. I did this as an example of a heavy embellishment, but I honestly could not find a heavy embellishment in my craft room. And that's, again, it adds expense to mailing. It is more likely to fall off of your card. It's harder to secure. And so I don't want to use them. This is a really thick wooden cut from an Etsy shop. I believe it's called GoodLeeDesigns. I'll link it, but they made me this custom word that I use to take photos with. And so it's not a card embellishment, but I've certainly seen super thick words like this. And I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be so easy to pop a sentiment on, but I'm like, this is much heavier and thicker than I'd want for a card. So I'm gonna stick to thin cardstock die cuts words instead of something like a wooden embellishment. Metal embellishment's very heavy, very cool, and great for like 3-dimensional products, or if you're like making a canvas, go for it. But in terms of my everyday card making, I don't find a place for them. Next one I didn't have a very good visual for either. And so it might be kind of confusing because you're like, you don't buy stamps anymore? No way, I definitely buy stamps. I love stamps. I love all these companies. I'm gonna keep buying from these companies. But I wanted to talk briefly about things of questionable origin. Sometimes you see a really good deal on a stamp set and it looks like it came from a company that you love, but you can't figure out why it would be that cheap. And it might be because it's a knockoff. And so I just wanted to take a quick minute to mention that that is something that I am very careful about. Anything that I'm not sure that the person who is selling it, if they're not going to be contributing back to the designer, I'm not saying you can never, you can buy genuine Lawn Fawn products on Amazon. You can also buy them from Lawn Fawn or scrapbook.com or Simon Says Stamp. But be careful if you ever see something that looks like the genuine product, but maybe something's a little bit different or the price is a little bit off. I understand that there is that compulsion to save yourself money, but if we don't support the genuine small craft companies that are making those designs that we love, then they're gonna go away. I hope this video has given you some ideas of where you can maybe shave bits off your crafting budget, maybe commit to a certain line so you're not continuously tempted by the new, latest and greatest. If you found this video inspiring, I'm going to share another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.